There are new bombshell claims today from royal insiders who say King Charles's cancer is incurable and he will likely die with the disease.
Buckingham Palace has shared several updates about King Charles's health in recent months. But this time, the news didn't come from the palace. It came directly from Prince William. While the king has been undergoing treatment for prostate issues and a cancer diagnosis,
Buckingham Palace has said King Charles spent a short period of time in hospital today after experiencing the temporary side effects of his cancer treatment.
The royal family has mostly kept the details private. Now, in a move that has caught many by surprise, Prince William has confirmed the most heartbreaking update yet. But what exactly did he say? And why is this news causing such a stir across the country? Join us as we break down the tragic health news Prince William just confirmed about King Charles. The tragic news about King Charles. The tragic news, though not entirely unexpected, marks a difficult chapter for the royal family as they navigate both public duties and private concerns. As the king steps back from certain responsibilities, attention has turned to the timeline of his condition and what this means for the monarchy's future. But this isn't the first time concerns have been raised about the king's health. Let's take a closer look at his medical history and what may have led to this moment. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear are some truly shocking details about King Charles' health. King Charles is generally described as having been in good health in his youth, engaging in sports, riding, and public duties. But things changed in the year 1998. That year, during one of his regular engagements, Charles began to experience discomfort in his right knee, not an uncommon problem for someone who had spent years on horseback and playing polo. Those who worked closely with him recalled how he would sometimes wince after long walks or public events. By March 1998, doctors advised him to undergo minor surgery to address the issue. The procedure, known as a laser keyhole operation, was performed to correct the joint problem. It was an arthroscopic surgery, minimally invasive and routine for athletes or individuals with knee wear. The operation went smoothly, and he recovered quickly, though it marked the first time the public had reason to discuss his personal health. Several years later, in 2003, Charles faced another medical issue. During one of his public appearances, he was noticed moving gingerly and occasionally pressing his hand to his abdomen. It turned out that he had developed a hernia, a condition that can arise from strain or physical activity. Despite the discomfort, he continued his engagements until it was time for corrective surgery. In March that year, he was admitted to King Edward's Hospital, a place often used by members of the royal family. The operation was straightforward, lasting only a few hours. He stayed overnight for observation and was discharged the next day. Those around him said he was in good spirits and even joked with the medical staff. However, that was just the beginning. The years that followed brought a series of unexpected and concerning health challenges. By 2008, Charles had another minor health concern, this time on his face. Close-up photographs at public events showed a small blemish on his nose. Eventually, he had it removed at a London clinic, and the palace confirmed it was a non-cancerous growth. While the surgery was minor, it reminded many that being a royal didn't exempt one from ordinary health problems. The growth was successfully removed without complications, and within days, he was back to work, appearing at public functions with a small bandage that drew more media curiosity than concern. Physical injuries, however, were not new to King Charles. His lifelong passion for polo and horse riding came with risks. Over the years, he had several accidents on the field, the most notable ones involving falls that briefly knocked him unconscious. Polo, while elegant, is a contact sport played at high speed, and Charles was known to be fiercely competitive. During one match, he was reportedly thrown off his horse after a collision, leading to a head injury that required medical attention. In another, he suffered bruised ribs and a sprained arm. Despite these incidents, he continued to play well into middle age. Fortunately, none of those falls left lasting neurological damage, though they made it clear that Charles was ready to endure pain to stay committed to his duties and royal tradition. Fast forward to the pandemic years, and Charles once again faced a test of health. During the height of COVID-19, it was announced that he had tested positive for the virus. Given his age at the time, there was public concern. However, reports indicated that his symptoms were mild, and he was isolated at his home in Scotland. He continued to hold virtual meetings and even joined online royal engagements while recovering. Those close to him said he was frustrated by the forced rest, but remained disciplined in following medical advice. Then came 2024, a year that completely changed how he dealt with his health. In January, Buckingham Palace released a statement saying that the king would undergo treatment for an enlarged prostate. The announcement stood out because of how open it was. The royal family rarely shares such personal information. The palace clarified that it was a benign condition, a common issue among older men, and that the king was in good hands. He was admitted to the London clinic on the 26th of January, where the procedure was carried out successfully. Within days, he was discharged and was said to be recovering well. But soon after, another announcement shocked the world. In February 2024, the palace revealed that, while Charles was being treated for the prostate condition, doctors had discovered a separate issue of concern. Further tests confirmed it was a form of cancer, though not prostate cancer. The diagnosis came as a surprise to both the public and royal watchers, especially since he had appeared energetic during recent events. Buckingham Palace stated that he would be suspending certain public duties while beginning a schedule of treatments. Though no specifics were shared, it was clear that the monarch faced a serious health battle. From that point onward, Charles's daily routine changed dramatically. He began regular cancer treatment, the nature of which the palace never fully disclosed, though it was speculated to include radiation or chemotherapy. The workload was reduced, with advisors managing his schedule around medical appointments. Despite this, he continued to read and sign state papers, attend private meetings, and receive his weekly audience with the Prime Minister. By March 2025, after more than a year of managing the illness, the king was admitted briefly to the hospital again. This time, it was described as a precautionary measure after he experienced temporary side effects from his cancer treatment. Buckingham Palace downplayed the concern, calling it a small bump in the road. His stay was short, lasting only a few days, and he resumed light duties afterward. One of the most notable aspects of this period was how openly the king and the palace addressed his health. Historically, the British monarchy kept health matters private. For example, details of past monarchs' illnesses were often hidden until after their deaths. But perhaps the most unexpected revelation is that King Charles has reportedly made a personal wish, one that could shape the monarchy's direction in the years ahead. What exactly is in this wish, and why is it surfacing now, at such a delicate moment? We have the answers. Stay with us. King Charles' last wish revealed. King Charles is now 76 years old, and while dealing with ongoing health issues, he has reportedly made a few personal wishes. Although Buckingham Palace has not confirmed the full details, it wouldn't be unusual for a monarch to do so. Kings and queens before him had done the same, leaving behind wishes about how things should continue after them. Sometimes they spoke about duty, sometimes about family, but it always showed what they cared about most. Queen Victoria was one of the first to leave such a wish. Before she died in 1901, she gave clear instructions about what she wanted. She asked to be buried as a soldier's daughter, dressed in white, not black. She wanted her wedding veil placed over her face and pictures of her husband, Prince Albert, in her coffin. To her, it was about love, duty, and being remembered as a woman who stood by her family. That wish shaped royal traditions for years after her death. King George V also made his thoughts known near the end of his life. He wanted the monarchy to stay close to the people and to feel more British, especially after World War I. He even changed the royal family's name from Saxe-Coburg and Gotha to Windsor to remove its German sound. Before he died, he told those close to him that the monarchy must always stay connected to the public. His wish was simple: keep the crown grounded in service. Then came his son George VI, who never expected to be king. When his brother abdicated the throne, George stepped in and spent his short reign restoring trust in the monarchy. Before his death in 1952, he told his daughter, then Princess Elizabeth, to keep strong and keep steady. He wanted her to lead with calm and not be swayed by politics or noise. His wish came true. Elizabeth's reign became one of the longest and most stable in British history. So, if King Charles were to make a similar wish, it might not be very different from what the royal family is already doing. His focus has always been on modernization, balance, and unity. Each member already plays a part that fits into that plan. For Prince William, his role is already clear. He's stepping deeper into royal duties, slowly taking on more of his father's responsibilities. Prince William often represents the king at big events, both in the UK and abroad. His main focus remains on the environment and social causes. Through his Earthshot Prize, he supports projects that help protect the planet. He has also been active in campaigns about mental health, homelessness, and youth development. William has become the face of a younger monarchy. He is more open, more approachable, and aware of modern issues. If the king were to make a wish, it would likely include that William continues in this direction, leading with empathy and keeping the crown close to the people. But Prince William isn't the only one playing a key role in shaping the monarchy's future. His wife, Princess Catherine, has also become a strong and steady presence. And if King Charles truly made a wish for the family's path forward, there's no doubt he would include her. So what might the king hope for Catherine, the future queen? Let's take a closer look. Princess Catherine's work has become just as important. She has built a calm and reliable image, balancing her public role with being a mother. Her main focus is early childhood development. She believes that supporting children in their first years can solve many problems later in life. Her Shaping Us campaign is a big part of that. She visits schools, meets parents, and works with health experts. Over time, Catherine has also taken on more military and ceremonial duties. She now holds several honorary titles, and her presence at royal events has grown. It's easy to see that she's preparing for her future role as queen consort. Princess Anne continues to be one of the hardest-working royals. She rarely makes headlines, but she carries a huge part of the royal workload. Every year, she attends hundreds of public events, often more than anyone else in the family. She supports causes related to health, farming, and education. Her long experience and practical nature have made her an important advisor to both the king and Prince William. If there's one person who keeps the royal machine running quietly and efficiently, it's Anne. A wish from the king would surely include her as the steady hand of the family, the one who keeps things grounded. Then there's Queen Camilla. Her journey has been long and complicated, but over time, she's earned the public's respect. She has taken on a wide range of charity work, including literacy programs and campaigns against domestic violence. Her presence beside the king has given him stability, and she's proven herself to be strong under pressure. Still, in the natural order of things, her role will one day change. When the time comes, she will likely take on the title of Queen Dowager, stepping back from the spotlight while still offering guidance. A reasonable wish from the king would be that Camilla remains a source of wisdom and support for William and Catherine, helping them continue the royal legacy. Of course, no conversation about the royal family feels complete without mentioning Prince Harry. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, He has built a life in the United States with his wife, Meghan Markle, and their children. He continues his own projects, including the Invictus Games for wounded veterans and other charity work. But his relationship with the royal family has been strained. Still, despite everything, Harry remains a counselor of state, meaning he could, by law, act on behalf of the king if needed. While that's unlikely, it shows he's still tied to the institution. If the king were ever to put his thoughts into words, it's easy to imagine that he would want Harry and his family to find their way back in some form. Maybe not as full-time working royals, but perhaps in a role that allows them to reconnect without conflict. The king has often spoken about family and reconciliation. A wish for peace between his sons would not be surprising. But it's still unclear whether Prince Harry would even want to return to royal life. In a recent interview, he opened up once again about the deep tensions within the family, revelations that many believe are at the heart of his decision to step away. His words painted a picture of hurt, mistrust, and a longing for independence. So, what truly caused the rift? And why does Harry seem so determined to build a life far from the palace? Stay tuned, because we're about to uncover the intense conflict that changed everything and why it may keep Harry from ever returning to royal duties. What drove Prince Harry away? Prince Harry's conflict started long before anyone knew how deep they would go. It all began in 2016, when news broke that he was dating Meghan Markle. At first, it looked like a normal royal romance, but behind the smiles, there was tension. Meghan was different from the women the royal family usually welcomed. She was an American actress, divorced, biracial, and outspoken. To some in the family and the palace, this raised questions about how she would fit in. The British press made things worse. Some tabloids ran racist headlines and dug into her past, painting her as an outsider. Harry saw the tone early on and felt it was unfair. Inside the palace, there were rumors of concern about her background. A few weeks later, Harry did something no one expected. In November 2016, he released a public statement confirming that Meghan was his girlfriend and calling out the media for their treatment of her. It wasn't the usual royal way. The family preferred silence, the old never complain, never explain rule. But Harry broke it. When Harry and Meghan married in May 2018, the world celebrated it as a sign of change. However, the media attacks continued, and according to Harry, it reminded him too much of how his mother, Princess Diana, had been treated. He began to fear history was repeating itself. Things got worse when Meghan became pregnant with their first child, Archie. In their 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan revealed that during her pregnancy, there were concerns and conversations within the royal family about how dark Archie's skin might be. She also said there were discussions about whether Archie would get a royal title or security protection. For Harry and Meghan, these talks felt deeply hurtful. When Oprah asked who made the comment, they refused to name the person, but the accusation alone caused a public uproar. The palace gave a short response saying, "Recollections may vary, but by then, the damage was done." Trust between Harry, Meghan, and the rest of the family had already begun to crumble. By late 2019, Meghan's mental health had taken a hit. She later admitted that she had felt isolated and hopeless, even having suicidal thoughts at one point. She said she tried to get help but was told she couldn't because it might reflect badly on the royal family. Harry, who had grown up watching how his mother's mental struggles were handled, was terrified. He began to speak more openly about how they were both suffering under the constant pressure. In January 2020, the couple made a shocking announcement. They were stepping back from their royal duties. The news hit like a bombshell. The Queen quickly called a family meeting at Sandringham to discuss what became known as Megxit. Harry, Meghan, Prince Charles, and Prince William attended. The meeting was tense, but civil. Harry explained that they wanted a simpler life, away from constant press intrusion. The family agreed to let them split their time between the UK and North America, and to work toward financial independence. It sounded like a reasonable plan, but in reality, it changed everything. Soon after the meeting, Harry and Meghan moved first to Canada and then to California. They gave up many of their official royal roles and funding. In March 2021, Harry and Meghan sat down for their now famous interview with Oprah Winfrey. For the first time, they spoke openly about what had driven them away. Then came 2023 and Harry's memoir, Spare. In it, he shared deeply personal stories, from losing his mother to his strained relationship with his brother. He claimed that William once physically attacked him during an argument about Meghan. He also wrote about how he often felt like the Spare to William's heir, the book, along with the couple's Netflix documentary, opened up old wounds. Harry saw it as his chance to tell his story. But for the royal family, it felt like another public blow. Meanwhile, Harry's battle over security in the UK became a major issue. After stepping down, the British government decided he would no longer automatically receive state-funded police protection. Instead, his safety would be reviewed case by case by a committee called RAVEC. In 2022, he filed a lawsuit against the UK Home Office, claiming the decision to remove his full security detail was unfair. He believed that RAVEC had treated him differently from others who had stepped back from public duties. The case went on for almost 2 years, attracting intense public interest. In February 2024, the High Court ruled against him. The judge acknowledged that Harry's concerns were genuine, but said the government had acted within the law. Harry was disappointed, saying that the decision meant he couldn't safely bring his wife and children to the UK. Not satisfied, he appealed the ruling, hoping the Court of Appeal would take his side. But in May 2025, his appeal was dismissed. The judges said they understood his fears, but agreed that the government's approach was reasonable. This felt like another rejection from the country. While all this was happening, Harry was also fighting the British tabloids. For years, he had blamed them for the constant invasion of his privacy and even for contributing to his mother's death. He filed several lawsuits against major newspaper groups, accusing them of hacking his phone and hiring private investigators to dig into his personal life. In December 2023, he won a big case against the Mirror Group, with the court confirming that journalists had illegally gathered his private information. He was awarded damages, and other outlets later settled similar claims. With everything that has happened, it remains uncertain whether Harry and Meghan will reconsider their stance and return to the UK, especially now as King Charles faces health challenges and continues to call for peace within the family. While the public is divided on this, many are increasingly concerned about the future of the monarchy. Questions are being raised. Is the king still fit to carry out his duties? Could he soon hand over power to Prince William, who has already taken on many royal responsibilities? And if so, how likely is that? Has anything like this ever happened before in royal history? Keep watching, because we're about to reveal what the past tells us about the future of the crown. The future of British monarch. It is possible for a king or queen to give up the throne while still alive. The law allows it, but it is not simple. A monarch cannot just decide to stop being king or queen on their own. Parliament must agree and pass a law to make it official. This is because the monarchy is part of the country's constitution, and everything must be done properly. The clearest example of this happening was in 1936, when King Edward VIII decided to leave the throne. His case shows that abdication is possible, but it needs Parliament to make it legal. Edward's abdication is the main example people talk about when this topic comes up. In 1936, he wanted to marry Wallis Simpson, an American woman who had been divorced twice. The government and the Church of England did not support this. Rather than cause a crisis, Edward chose to step down. He signed a declaration to give up the throne, but that paper alone was not enough. Parliament had to pass a law called His Majesty's Declaration of Abdication Act, 1936. That act made his decision legal and allowed his brother, George VI, to become king. The same thing had to be recognized across other countries that shared the same monarch, such as Canada and Australia. This showed that abdication could happen, but only if Parliament made it official. Sometimes a monarch might not want to abdicate, but may not be able to do all their duties because of health or travel. In that case, the law allows others to act for them temporarily. This can happen through something called the Regency Acts, or through councillors of state. These are legal tools that let other members of the royal family handle official work when the monarch cannot. It is not the same as giving up the throne. It just means someone else helps for a while. This keeps everything running smoothly without changing who the monarch is. There are a few important laws that make this possible. The 1936 Abdication Act was used when Edward stepped down. The Regency Acts explain what happens if a monarch is too young or too sick to rule. The letters patent are documents signed by the monarch that name councillors of state. These people can act for the monarch when needed. Together, these rules make sure the country always has someone to handle royal duties. They also make it clear that only Parliament can change who the monarch is. When a new monarch is crowned, there is both a legal and a ceremonial part. The person becomes king or queen as soon as the old monarch dies or abdicates. The ceremony that follows is called the Coronation. It is a religious service where the Archbishop of Canterbury places the crown on the new monarch's head. This is a tradition that has been followed for centuries. However, the coronation does not make someone the monarch. It only celebrates the fact that they already are. The real moment of change happens the instant the throne becomes vacant. It is important to understand that accession and coronation are not the same thing. Accession happens automatically when the previous monarch dies or steps down. Coronation happens later and is mostly symbolic. For example, King Charles became monarch the moment Queen Elizabeth II died. His coronation months later was a formal event to confirm what had already happened. So if a monarch abdicates, the successor becomes king or queen right away. The coronation would happen later, but it would not create the kingship. If a living monarch wanted to hand over power completely, Parliament would have to be involved. This is what happened with Edward. The monarch could sign a paper saying they want to abdicate, but that would not be enough. In most cases, if the problem is health-related, abdication is not the first option. The usual way is to let councillors of state or a regent act for the monarch. This keeps the system stable and avoids political issues. Queen Elizabeth used this method many times when she could not attend events. Other senior royals, like Prince Charles at the time, handled her duties. The same system is still used today. It lets the monarch stay on the throne while others help temporarily. Looking at King Charles and Prince William, it is legally possible for Charles to abdicate if he wanted to. But in practice, this is unlikely. If he ever decided to step down, Parliament would need to pass a new Abdication Act, just like in 1936. At the moment, Buckingham Palace prefers to use the councillors of state method instead. During Charles's recent health problems, Prince William and Queen Camilla have taken on many of his public duties. This is allowed by law and ensures that royal work continues smoothly. Some people wonder if Prince William would perform better as king. This question depends on opinion, but there are some clear facts. William is younger, more energetic, and often more popular in public polls. He has spent many years preparing for the role, learning from both his father and grandmother. He also represents a modern image of the royal family that many people like. Do you think King Charles should abdicate the throne due to his current health condition? Share your opinions with us in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the following video on your screen, and you will enjoy it.